Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Nimisha Jadon from School of Studies Environmental Chemistry, Jivaji University, Gwalior. Today we are going to discuss about the module Kinetic Methods of Analysis under paper Fundamentals of Analytical Chemistry. The learning objective of this module including the first order reaction and its half-life, second order reaction half-life, and before that we also learn about the kinetic methods, then the enzyme catalysis, Michaelis constant, and the enzyme determination. First of all, we have discussed here about the basics of kinetic methods. The kinetics is a description of reaction rates. The order of a reaction defines the dependence of reaction rate on the concentration of reacting species. Order is determined empirically and is not necessarily related to the stoichiometry of the reaction. Rather, it is governed by the mechanism of the reaction, that is, by the number of species that must collide for the reaction to occur. In kinetic methods of analysis, the rate of the reaction and the analytical signal increases with an increase of the analyte concentration. The concentration of the reactant and the products are changing as a function of time. This figure shows the kinetic steady state and the equilibrium part of the selected chemical reaction. The graph shows that the end of the reaction, the equilibrium parts of the chemical reaction. Now we discuss about the types of order of reaction. Major, there is two types of order of reaction, first order reaction and the second order reaction. The another one is known as zero order reaction, but these types of reactions are very rare and only theoretically. Now we discuss about the first order reaction. The reactions in which the rate of the reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of a single substance are known as first order reaction. Here consider the reaction A is converted into the P. The substance A might be a compound that is decomposing to one or more products. The rate of the reaction is equal to the rate of disappearance of A and it is proportional to the concentration of A, that is denoted by minus dA upon dt is equal to Ka ion concentration. This is a rate expression or rate law. The minus sign is placed in front of the term on the left side of the equation to indicate that A is disappearing as a function of time. The constant K is the specific rate constant at the specified temperature. The order of a reaction is the sum of the exponents to which the concentration terms in its rate expression are raised. Thus, this is the first order reaction and its rate depends only on the concentration of A. The figure shows here that when the concentration is directly proportional to the rate of reaction and the straight line curve will be observed for the first order reaction. The equation 2 is known as the differential form of the first order rate law. The integrated form of the equation is depicted here, where A naught is the initial concentration of A at T is equal to 0 and A in brackets is its concentration at time T after the reaction is started. This equation gives the amount of A that has reacted after a given time interval. It is a straight line equation and if T is plotted versus log A, which can be measured at different times, a straight line with slope of K is divided by 2.303 and the intercept of log A naught concentration is obtained. Thus the rate constant can be determined. From equation 2, the rate of reaction will decrease as the reaction proceeds because the concentration of A decreases. Since the A concentration decreases logarithmically with time, it follows that the rate of reaction will decrease exponentially with the time. The time for one half of a substance to react is called the half-life of the reaction and denoted by T half. The ratio of A concentration divided by A naught concentration at this time is 1 by 2. By inserting this equation into the previous equation and solving for T half, we see that for the first order reaction the T half is equal to 0.693 divided by K. After the reaction is half completed, then one half of the remaining reacting substances will react in the same time, that is T half, and so on. This is the exponential decrease we mentioned. Theoretically, it would take an infinitely long time for the reaction to go to completion, but for all practical purposes, it is completed 9.9% after 10 half-life. It is important to note that the half-life and hence the time for the reaction to go to the completion is independent of the concentration of the first order reactions. The radioactive decay is an important example of the first order reaction. Now we discuss here about the second order reaction. Suppose we have following the A plus B is equal to product. The rate of the reaction is equal to the rate of disappearance of either A or B, and it is empirically depicted by the given equation. Then the reaction is first order with respect to A and to B and the second order overall. The specific reaction rate constant has the dimensions of reciprocal time and molarity, for example, seconds inverse and molar inverse. The integrated form of equation depends on whether the initial concentration of A and B are equal. If they are equal, the equation is given here, and if the A naught and AB are not equal, then the equation is depicted here. If the concentration of one species, say B, is very large compared with the other and its concentration remain essentially constant during the reaction, then the equation reduces to that of a first order rate law, where the K prime is equal to K B ion concentration and the integrated form becomes by the given equation. Since B naught concentration is constant, equation is identical to form a equation that previously discussed, and this is known as pseudo first order reaction. The half-life of a second order reaction in which the A naught concentration equal to A naught concentration equal to B naught concentration is given by the equation T half is equal to 1 divided by K A naught concentration. Thus, unlike the half-life of the first order reaction, the half-life here depends on the initial concentration. The reaction between A and B need not necessarily be second order. The reactions of fraction rate order are common, and the reactions such as 2A plus B is equal to P may be third order or it may be second order or a more complicated order. Here the picture shows the second order reaction. When the concentration of reactant increases, the rate of reaction increases exponentially. Here figure depicted that the rate of concentration is independent for the zero order reaction, and for the first and second order reaction it will be increases linearly and exponentially respectively. Now we discuss here about the reaction time. The time for a reaction to go to completion will depend on the rate constant K, and in case of second order reaction the initial concentration. The first order reaction is essentially instantaneous if K is greater than 10 to the power if K is greater than 10 second inverse. That is 99.9% complete in less than 1 second. When K is less than 10 to the power minus 3 second inverse, the time for 99.9% reaction exceeds 100 minutes. Although it is more difficult to predict the time for second order reaction, they can generally be considered to be instantaneous if
K is greater than about 10 to the power 3 or 10 to the power 4 second inverse molar inverse. If K is less than 10 inverse second inverse or molar inverse, the reaction requires R's to completion.
Now we discuss here about the enzyme catalysis. Enzymes are naturally occurring proteins that catalyzes the reaction with high efficiency. They are determined in a body for the diagnosis of diseases, but they are highly useful for the determination of substrates. Now we are discussing about the enzyme kinetics. The enzyme kinetics is the study of chemical reactions that are catalyzed by enzymes. The typical enzyme catalyzed reactions can be represented by the equation that E plus S is in equilibrium condition and forms ES, that is again convert into the P plus E, where E is the enzyme, S is the substrate and P is the product and ES is the activated complex. An enzyme is characterized by the number of molecules of substrate it can complex per unit time and convert to product, that is the turnover number. The enzyme substrate reaction is based on the key and lock theory, because enzyme having a specific type of structure and at the free lattice the substrate molecules are capped at the surface of the enzyme, and they are forming the activated forms of enzyme substrate complex. Then it will convert into the product.
As long as the substrate concentration is small enough with respect to the enzyme concentration that the turnover number is not exceeded, the reaction rate is directly proportional to the substrate concentration, that is, it is first order with respect to the substrate. If the enzyme concentration is held constant, then the overall reaction is first order and directly proportional to the substrate concentration. This serves as the basis for substrate determination. This is the general principle of enzyme kinetics. Here, a large amount of substrates are added to a reaction. The available enzyme binding sites become filled to the limit of, and beyond this limit the enzyme is saturated with substrate and the reaction rate ceases to increases.
Now we discuss here about the properties of enzymes. The rate of enzymatic reaction depends on a number of factors including the temperature, pH, ionic strength and so forth. The rate of reaction will increases as the temperature is increased up to a point. Above a certain temperature, the activity of the enzyme is decreased because being a protein, it becomes denatured. The enzymes should be stored at 5 degrees centigrade or less, since they are eventually deactivated over a period of time at even moderate temperatures. Some enzymes lose activity when frozen. Enzymes concentrations are usually expressed in activity and not molar unit. Now we discuss here about the enzyme inhibitors and the activators. The enzyme activators are the molecules that bind to enzyme and increase their activity. Enzyme inhibitors are substances which alter the catalytic action of the enzyme and consequently slow down or in some cases stop catalysis. Although enzymes catalyze only certain reaction or the certain types of reactions, they are still subject to interference. When the activated complex is formed, the substrate is absorbed at an active site on the enzyme. Other substances of similar size and shape may be absorbed at the active site. Although absorbed, they will not undergo any transformation.
Now we discuss here about the type of inhibition. There are two types of inhibition, non-competitive inhibition or the competitive inhibition. In non-competitive inhibition, the substrate and the inhibitor cannot bind to the enzyme at the same time. They do compete with the substrate for the active sites and slow down the rate of the catalyzed reaction. In non-competitive inhibition, the binding of the inhibitor to the enzyme reduces its activity but does not affect the binding of substrate. Non-competitive inhibition occurs when the inhibition depends only on the concentration of the inhibitor. This is usually caused by adsorption of the inhibitor at a site other than the active but one which is necessary for activation. Any substance that will complex with the metal ion may then become an inhibitor. Now we discuss about the Michaelis constant. The Michaelis constant is the substrate concentration at which the reaction rate is half of which shows the concentration of the substrate when the reaction velocity is equal to 1/2 of the maximal velocity of the reaction. The 1 by R is equal to 1 by R max plus Km upon R max S concentration, where Km is the Michaelis constant.
Now we discuss here about the enzyme specificity. Enzyme specificity refers to the interaction between any particular enzyme and its corresponding substrate. There are four types of enzyme specificity. Number one is absolute, number two is group specificity, number three is linkage specificity, and number four is the stereochemical specificity.
The first one we are discussing about the absolute specificity, in which the enzyme will catalyze only one reaction. Then the group specificity, in which the enzyme will act on the molecules with certain functional groups such as amino groups, phosphate or methyl groups. Then the linkage specificity, in which the enzyme will act on a particular type of chemical bond. And the last one is the stereochemical specificity, in which the enzyme will act on a particular steric or optical isomer. In addition to the substrate being acted on, many enzymes require a second co-substrate. Such a co-substrate may activate many enzymes and is an example of a cofactor or the coenzyme. An example is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is a cofactor for many dehydrogenase reactions by acting as a hydrogen acceptor. The next is the enzyme nomenclature. Enzymes are classified according to the type of reaction and the substrate, that is according to their reaction specificity and their substrate specificity. Most enzymes names and is ASES. There are thousands of enzymes in nature and most of these exhibit absolute specificity.
Now we discuss here about the classification of the enzymes. The enzymes are classified into four groups based on the kind of chemical reaction catalyzed. The number one is those that catalyze addition, hydrolysis or removal, that is hydrasis of water. Number two is those that catalyze the transfer of electrons, oxidases and dehydrogenases. Then the number third is those that catalyze the transfer of a radical such as transminase, that is amino group, and transmethylase, that is methyl group, or transphosphorylases, that is phosphate group. Those that catalyzes the transfer of a radical such as transaminase, that is amino group, transmethylase, that is methyl group, or transphosphorylase, that is phosphate groups. Those that catalyze splitting or the forming of a C double bond C bond is the desmolases, is the fourth type of enzymes reaction.
Now we discuss about the determination of enzymes. The enzymes can be analyzed by measuring the amount of substrate transformed in a given time or the product that is produced in a given time. The substrate should be in axis so that the reaction rate depends only on the enzyme concentration. The results are expressed as international units of enzyme. For example, the activity of glucose oxidase preparation can be determined by measuring manometrically or amperometrically the number of micromoles of oxygen consumed per minute. The enzyme activities are measured by determining the rate of substrate conversion under pseudo zero order substrate conditions.
Here we are discussing about the determination of enzyme substrate. The three general techniques can be used for measuring enzyme substrates, including complete conversion, then endpoint measurement, and third one is the continuous measurement.
Now we discuss here the complete conversion. The first complete conversion of the substrate may be utilized before and following completion of the enzymatically catalyzed reaction. A product is analyzed or the depletion of the reactant that was originally in excess is measured. The analyzed substance is then related to the original substrate concentration. These reactions are often not stoichiometric with respect to the substrate concentration because of the possible side reactions or instability of products or reactants. Also, the reaction may require extraordinarily long time for completion. The next is the endpoint measurement. The second technique employed for the substrate determination is the measurement of rate of an enzymatically catalyzed reaction, as is used to determine enzyme activity. This may take one of three forms. First, the time required for the reaction to produce a preset amount of product or to consume a preset amount of substrate may be measured. Second, the amount of product formed or substrate consumed in a given time may be measured. These are single point measurement called the endpoint measurements and require well defined reaction conditions. They are easy to automate or may be performed manually. The third one type of procedure is continuous measurement. A third procedure of continuous measurement of a product or the substrate concentration as a function of time to give the slope of the reaction rate curve. These are the so-called true rate measurement.
So at the end of this module, we can summarize that we have learned here about what about the kinetic methods, then the various types of rate of reaction, the rate of reaction or the order of certain reaction depends upon the concentration of reacting species. Then the reaction time depends upon the rate constant K. We also discuss here about the various types of order of reaction, like first order reaction and second order reaction and a kind of pseudo first order reaction. We came to know that the first order reaction, the rate constant is increases with the increase in the concentration of the substrate, but In the case of second order reaction, the reaction rate is exponentially increases when increase the concentration of a substrate. Along with that, we have also discussed here about the kinetics of the enzymes. As the enzymes are highly useful for the determination of the certain types of substrates, the enzymes that should be stored at 5 degrees centigrade or the less, since they are deactivated over a period of time at even moderate temperature. We have also discussed here about the various types of enzymatic inhibitors, and the enzymes are classified according to the type of reaction and the substrate, that is according to their reaction specificity and their substrate specificity. So these type of techniques are highly specific, and the enzymatic reaction kinetics are the basics of determining various types of biological fluids, proteins and amino acid determination by using such type of techniques. Thank you so much.